Ball Z was I was a fanboy for so many years. Obviously I was into Pokemon, Digimon, and Beyblade before that, but that was like I just watched it one day and I just started drawing the characters and the storyline. I was just so in depth with it. I like every game that came out that I would just like buy it. Like I love the characters. I looked up to Goku. He was like my role model in life. And for many years I was, I just looked up to Dragon Ball Z and the characters. It was such it was the first time I knew that this is like Japanese cartoons and I love it. Like Dragon Ball Z defines what I like in anime. It was like a stepping stone for like it was like my first stepping stone into anime. But kind of like years later, I kind of like Get Backers, and that would have been one of my favorites. But I'd say at the moment it would have to be Fairy Tail because it's kind of like your stereotypical shonen, and it's kind of reminiscent of the older stuff like Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Shaman King. So I'd have to say Fairy Tail at the moment.
Which is your favourite Fairy Tail character?
Natsu, because I'm kind of hot-headed sometimes, and I do things before I think. I don't know, when like stuff happens to me, I get like slightly aggressive for a while. Yeah, I'm definitely like a hothead, so like I would definitely relate to him.
I prefer Gajeel myself. Or is it? I'm not good with pronunciation. Gajeel or Gajeel, whichever one.
And Natsu starts off as the underdog and nobody, which I can really relate to, like someone who's like a failure and everyone looks down on him, and he rises to the occasion, and nothing will get in his way, and he'll do whatever it takes to be the best or be the best possible person that he can be. And I suppose from the sort of background like I have and the life that I led, I really like the underdogs. I like the sort of the people, when people look down on them and they don't expect much from them, that they rise to the occasion and prove people they prove people wrong. The sort of people that are underestimated, I definitely those sort of people resonate with me.
What do you think of the first episode then of Fairy Tail, where the main villain in the episode is pretending to be Natsu under his nickname Salamander, and then you have the real Natsu there sponging food off of a girl he's only just met and not saying he's not Salamander, I'm Salamander.
I suppose when like Fairy Tail first started, everyone hated. They were like, "Oh, it's such a Fairy Tail rip-off," and then like obviously years later, everyone's like, "Oh, I love Fairy Tail. We're gonna like forget about all these notions of it being like a One Piece rip-off." The first episode, I suppose, there's this guy who's like kind of stupid, and the main girl, what was her name again?
Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy. She's like, yeah, this guy, how could he be a part of the Fairy Tail Guild? He's, she definitely underestimated him, and he rose to the occasion. And the guy who seemed pretty cool and everyone looked up to was the sort of guy who like Natsu saved at the end of the day. He was making girls fall in love with him, and he was pretending to be Natsu. Or was it his mentor, the Salamander, wasn't it?
No, it was Natsu, because Natsu's nickname is the Salamander, I believe.
Yeah.
At least that's what it says in the first episode. After that, he's never referred to as anything other than Natsu.
It was a good episode, I suppose. It definitely got to see your first experience where the underdog or the one who's underestimated proves people wrong. Just as like Michael Jordan was, he was kicked off his basketball team. Oprah Winfrey worked as a news reporter, and she was told that she cared too much about the people, so she was kind of like kicked out, or she was fired from her news reporting job. And then Walt Disney was working for a newspaper, and people told me that he had a lack of imagination. These people went on to do great things. So that would definitely be reminiscent of some of those like stories that are very realistic. So I suppose like people could like relate to the first episode, but I think there was definitely better episodes or better arcs or like more relatable ones in the future. But it was definitely a good start.
Oh yeah, it's a good start, but all anime get progressively better and better. Like Bleach is one of my favourites myself, and the first episode isn't exactly the best, but when it continues on in the second episode, it gets better, and then as the story progresses,
I think like Bleach definitely hits its climax or its peak in the Soul Society arc. When you see Bleach is like the lowest level, say Soul Reaper, and then because his motivation, his strive to be better, to save his friends, he will give his life to save Rukia. just his motivation and his passion that he will not be denied. Nobody will stand in his way, and he rises to the occasion and becomes one of the strongest in the Soul Society. I think the Soul Society arc was definitely a lot of people resonated with, and it was definitely relatable. It was brilliant. I think when I watched the Soul Society arc, I was like, fuck Dragon Ball Z. Bleach is the best anime I've seen, but obviously it went a bit downhill afterwards. But that arc...
Yeah, all the filler after the Soul Society kind of takes away from everything else. Like, I remember one filler episode where it was just for fanboys. They got all the female characters together along with Ichigo, and they put them all on the beach, and all the women were in bikinis, and then some kind of pumpkin monster attacks the beach, and Ichigo has to save them because he's the only one with a weapon for some reason.
I feel that if they ended Bleach, say like right after the Soul Society arc, I probably would have said that it's better in Dragon Ball Z. But as a whole, I did like the Bount arc. That was definitely a good arc. But obviously it went downhill. But that arc was just like, it was so amazing. Like I remember like that was kind of like Bleach was only new when I was starting to go to conventions. And I remember everyone was a Bleach cosplayer. They were like Ichigo, Hollow, Ichigo, stuff like that. So you can definitely tell in that period of time a lot of people resonated with it.
Yeah, like as I said, I'm a big Bleach fan, or at least I was. But the filler arcs in every anime always annoy me because of the fact that they normally have nothing to do with what's actually going on, or they confuse you about what's going on, and for the first while of the filler you're like, what's this? Why is this happening? Where's this person? What's going on? And then when there's no reference to the filler in the continuation, you're left going, why wasn't there a reference? Is that not canon? Is that not real? What's going on?
I suppose with
unless
Naruto,
you're mad into this, you don't understand it all at first.
I suppose with Naruto, that you're kind of lucky in a way that the filler's at the end of the anime and you can just like skip it and go straight on to Shippuden.
Didn't even, to be honest, with Naruto you don't really notice the filler because it's normally just interesting things that you're actually curious about, like when
No, most of the fillers at the end
all
of the
Naruto
anime.
fans want to know what Kakashi looks like without that mask over his face. Like, think about it, even you are probably curious, especially now that it's been mentioned, what does he look like without the mask? Because even in flashbacks, when you see him as a kid, his face is covered up.
I'd assume that it looks like the left side of his face just replicated on the right side of his face, to be honest.
No, I don't mean the eye, where he has the mask covering his mouth and nose. You never see it. There's a filler episode where you get to see Naruto and Sasuke and...
But don't they never find it in the end anyway? They don't get to see his face?
No, they don't get to see it. And you don't get to see it either, because something always covers it up at the last second. Like, they take him out for ramen, and as they're about to see what his face looks like, as you see him reaching to pull the mask down, a big box of ramen to be delivered somewhere else gets placed in front of the camera angle, and you don't see Kakashi's face. And they even take him to a hot bath, and they say to him, does he not want to remove his mask? And he pulls off the mask to reveal underneath that mask is another mask.
I suppose that may be something that may be only for the hardcore, as in like it's irrelevant, as in they spent that whatever 20-minute, 30-minute episode trying to find out what Kakashi looked like, to find out that they never actually are going to find out what he looks like under the mask. So it would be definitely something that is very humorous for the hardcore. But like, if you only care about storyline, I suppose like a lot of sites label the last whatever 50, 60 episodes or how long the filler is as filler season or filler arc, and you can just skip that. And the story kind of picks up just right after like the fight between Naruto and Sasuke, where he kind of meets up with the pervy sage. What's his name again? It's been so
Jiraiya.
long. Jiraiya.
Who actually turns out was his godfather. So, like...
Spoiler alert!
Sorry. I did this at my first ever panel as well. When I did my first ever panel at Otaku Con 3 years ago, I went up on stage and I was showing clips of different animes and cartoons, and one of the clips was from Bleach, and I timed it so that it was about 50 episodes before what I had currently seen up to, thinking everybody must have seen this, and then all of a sudden one guy shouts up, I haven't seen this, thanks for the spoiler alert. And it was something that I presumed all Bleach fans would have seen, the battle between the final battle between Ichigo and Aizen.
I haven't seen it, so that's a spoiler.